What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of CTL Speaks. This is your co-host, Auburn, with my co-host,
Seth. I'm back. Hi, everyone. Hi, the baby.
It's so good to have you back, Seth. We are so
Auburn,
excited.
why are you like half on the screen?
Because I don't want to sit in Aaron's lap. I'm not the important one here. They are. They're the ones that we're here to see.
Very true, Auburn.
And so we are joined by two phenomenal people and actors, and we are so thrilled to have Kimie and Aaron White here with Kimie. What's your last name?
Muroya.
Yeah. Kimie Muroya and Aaron White here with us from the Bloomsburg Theatre Ensemble, who is performing Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, and they will introduce themselves to you, and we'll talk about the show and what it is and all that fun stuff in just a second. But for right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I not only have to remake that video, but I also need the season 47 logo because we are 46. It's a whole thing. It's something I've thought about for a while, and it's fine. It's great.
If it's any consolation, we're in season 46.
There we go. We are celebrating with them.
We are.
It's a collaboration. It's a collaborative effort here. We're doing great things. It's so super exciting.
That's right.
So why don't we start with some introductions? So Aaron, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, let them know who you are, your theatrical background, where you come from, all that jazz.
I'm Aaron White. I am a resident actor and ensemble member at the Bloomsburg Theatre Ensemble. Originally from Dalmatia, Pennsylvania, further on down the river, the Susquehanna. But now I live in Williamsport, not far from CTL. But I work in Bloomsburg. And being an ensemble member, we are a self-governing, self-producing company. And Kimie Muroya to my left is joining us for the season. You want to talk some more?
Yeah, hi, my name is Kimie Muroya. I am the resident acting company candidate. So I'm here for the season, kind of feeling it out, seeing how BTE runs, and if that's my jam. So yeah, excited to be here.
Kimie, where do you come from?
Most recently from Philadelphia, but I went to high school in Lewisburg, but I've moved around a lot.
All right. Well, welcome you both to the show. We're very excited. So we are here on this particular episode because BTE, the Bloomsburg Theatre Ensemble, is a bit of a tour right now.
Yeah.
Right? We are producing Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, and you're on tour. So talk to me a little bit about your touring production of Twelfth Night. Not only why maybe you're on tour, if you're willing to share that information, but also what is the show about? So audiences can kind of get an idea if they've never heard of the show.
Absolutely.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, we won't tell any endings. No endings, just beginnings. The reason we are on tour, we are renovating our theater.
Okay.
So we have we are currently have a big hole above our stage space because we're putting an HVAC system so that people can breathe freely and stay warm and or cold.
Love that.
In our space. We're really excited about it, but we were aware that it would probably run into the beginning of our first show. And we were correct. They are about a week out. So we decided to do some audience outreach, go on tour, and bring Shakespeare to audiences that maybe either weren't aware of BTE or haven't been to BTE in a while.
Yeah.
And so that was the main thrust of it. And also recognizing that there are some really fantastic theater venues around in the area. So hopefully maybe we could cross-pollinate our audiences so that if folks didn't want to come to the park next week, we are in the park from the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
The Bloomsburg.
Town Park. If they didn't want to go outside and battle whatever the elements are those 3 days, that they could go to a delightful theater venue and discover a new place. So hopefully there's a cross-pollination that way.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about the play?
Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, or What You Will, has the lovely subtitle, What You Will.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of a lot of people's favorite comedy, Shakespeare comedy. It's kind of one of those love dodecahedrons kind of. Everyone's in love with each
I
other.
haven't heard that word in geometry class was a long time ago.
Wow, coming in hard with the PSSA words.
There's a lot of sides for that one. Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm gonna need that spelled out.
DODECA.
Here she goes. What?
I don't belong here.
TRON.
I'm not smart enough to be here right now. I'm not. It's not.
Alvin, we are. I thought we were out of our depth. We are so out of our depth.
What's happening right now? Where are we?
I can't even say that word.
But yes, so many people are in love with other people and just all over the place.
Triangle after triangle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's just a lot of people chasing a lot of mistaken identities, a lot of a rollicking fun time, as we've been calling it.
Yeah.
Lots of music and lots of fun costume changes for me.
Yeah. Hijinks.
A lot of hijinks.
A lot of hijinks.
Yes.
We're a touring company of 10. And I think there are probably maybe 15 to 20 characters. I'm trying to think. So many of us wear a few hats. Kimie particularly has two rather heavy lifts.
Yeah.
And so a big part of the style of the production is taking from what is called original practice, where Shakespeare didn't have electrical lights, so everything is done in general lighting, and everything is coming to the audience through their ears. So they have to imagine with us. We have an invitation, an open invitation at the beginning of the show to share in the making of it in their imaginations. So we don't have any illusions that you're not watching a play. So it's basically, hey, I'm an actor, and when I wear this hat, I'm this character, and when I wear this hat, I'm another character, and people will make the jump if you ask them. And so it's fast and it's fun, and you get to actively participate, which is something you can't get at home on Netflix.
Well, I feel like there's an industry standard or an industry shift right now to that style that you guys are hitting like right on the nail, like right now. That like in the last decade we've gone from these like every special effect, every like you know what I mean? I feel like that's the real hot thing right now.
Yeah, well, I think for a lot of different reasons. I think Kimie, that it is certainly cost effective.
Well, yes, but we don't.
But I do think personally, having done a lot of Shakespeare, Kimie's got a bunch of Shakespeare under her belt too. That it's what makes the plays work. I think that overcutting Shakespeare, speaking Shakespeare slowly or with lots of pauses, and putting too much stuff on top of the play makes for a shaky Jenga tower. Right. I love to think of it as a Jenga tower, that if you take too many pieces out, if you have too much on top, that ultimately you're just watching it, waiting for it to fall, and people are, and you don't get the story.
Stripping it down to just the words and the actors and some very minimal set is it actually kind of helps focus things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was going to say something. I was so invested in what you were gonna add to the conversation. I was
just ruminating
very excited
on that truth.
So what is
nothing? Adding absolutely nothing to the conversation. But grand pauses and interruptions.
But what is that like? So, you know, we often, I think Shakespeare has a bad rep sometimes of just being confusing old words that no one uses anymore. And so how do you approach using the original Shakespearean text and making it accessible, not without sacrificing all of that it is to do Shakespeare, but making it so that people can still connect with the story that was written a long time ago and in the language that is no longer used in modern day? What does that look like?
You have opinions. I have opinions.
For me, a lot of that heavy lifting is on the actor. You have to know what it is you're saying, otherwise the audience won't know what it is you're saying. I've seen a lot of Shakespeare where like Shakespeare's language comes fairly easily to me, but I've seen Shakespeare where I don't understand what they're saying, and that's on the actor, unfortunately. So a lot of it is doing your homework. We have texts called the lexicons, which are basically the old dictionaries that have context to them as well as what a word means, and just finding the right rhythm of just finding the way that expressing the like flowery and heightened text to a modern audience, connecting with somebody and shooting that meaning into their brain from your brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's you have to be a little bit telepathic.
Yeah, because we can understand intention sometimes more than we can the words. I think that there's another. I see a direct parallel between shows like Hamilton or any narrative that comes at you fast, right? That the first time you see Hamilton, you're not picking up every word. You're just not. And you make the leap with them by the things that are accented and by the intention of the actor. And I think if the intention is clear and specific, it certainly makes things more accessible, but also that the stresses are there. Right. The iambic pentameter works for a reason, and if you break that iambic pentameter, the stresses are in the wrong place, and you don't hear the important information. And so, particularly like with ever since psychoanalysis in the early 1900s, we've been trying to psychoanalyze these characters, and so long pauses and thought breaks up the rhythm.
Turn into William Shatner
of the play. Yeah. if you Shatner Shakespeare, Shakespeare will shatter. Okay.
Put that on a t-shirt. I don't know if that's an Aaron White exclusive, but that one.
Will be selling those in the lobby.
That's right. But I think it is one of the foibles, and I think one of the reasons, Seth, you're noticing that industry trend in Shakespeare is I think there's some training programs that are teaching now to speak the text, speak it trippingly on the tongue, and recognizing that modern audiences will hear it better if it's spoken with speed and with rhythm, because that's how we can understand it. Yeah.
Well, and I think part of the shift too is that active participation that you were talking about, that you hinted at with the Netflix. You don't get that at a home. Like you don't get that invitation to come play in a shared space with a community. And I mean, there's no better way to do that than when everything's stripped down and you're just focused on what's being said or what's being sung and what story is being told. So I'm excited to see it. We have a good Shakespeare. Yeah.
No, I agreed, and also the comedy aspect of this is we were one of the scenes in this show is one of my very favorite in the whole canon of Shakespeare, because it always works. I've been in this play. This will be number 4 of being in Twelfth Night, and this scene always is full belly laughs from the entire audience. Right, and it doesn't matter who you are. I've seen it work on 5-year-olds. I've seen it work on 90-year-olds, and it's just people because the dramatic circumstances are so tense, and he's written in all the releases, and it's just laugh after laugh after laugh, and the rehearsal room was real loud today because people were we have some funny folks too, which also helps.
And so, what is that? So I've never done improv in like a professional setting or even outside of like my theater arts class in high school, right? And so doing a show that involves so much improvisation and that allows for audience participation, it's got to be a challenging task for sure.
Sure.
So how do you approach that aspect of in a show like this? Not only are we thinking Shakespeare, but we're also thinking, what is the audience going to be bringing to, because and the thing with improv and the thing with the show, like every audience will see it differently, and everyone will interpret the story and what they can bring to the story differently. So what does that approach look like? Is that something that's rehearsed? Is that something that's talked about?
To a certain degree. I think we've started to find those moments where I can think of 2 at least, maybe 3 or 4, where there's a direct interplay. So any soliloquy is not spoken to oneself or to God; it's spoken to the audience, right? Like, you're watching this play. What do you think, right? And so there is a rhetorical, persuasive thing that happens with characters. There are maybe 1 or 2 where Tara, our director, has said, you don't have to say that to characters, say it to the audience, and share that with us. So some things are planned.
Sure.
I think one of the big things is to know. The philosophy of this production comes from something called Shakespeare in the Raw that our director Tara developed over a number of years, where it would be true improv, where everybody would come in off book, you'd have a day of rehearsal, and then you put it up in front of an audience. We're not doing that. We have a little bit more rehearsal that way, but the big part of that was that everybody came in off book. Everybody knows the chart, so that then you can play the jazz of the thing in the moment. And so that's to have it and have it in the body, to have the text in your mouth and the thoughts in your brain, so then you can respond to whatever the audience throws back to you. Yeah.
Responding to the audience and staying open and flexible to your scene partners as well. We've got a couple wild cards who will just have an insanely different version of what they're doing, and you just gotta roll with it. It's great.
Yeah, and not in a destructive way, but in they're facile and they know the text and they come with choices, and the chaos is fun. Yeah.
Now, so that Shakespeare in the Raw training, was that something that was going to be really handy coming in and then traveling this? Because you're in 3 different spaces that are, I think, all set up differently. Like, you have 3 very different locations to take the story to. So there has to be some of that.
Yeah. Recognizing that none of these venues are going to be the same means that we need to be ready to adapt. So in a traditional setting, you have real strong and set blocking. We have some, what do we wind up calling them? 10 poles or physical
anchor points.
Anchor points. We have anchor points that we have to make sure that we hit, so that the story is told cleanly and clearly. And then from that, those anchor points are going to be adapted depending upon what space we're in and where the audience is sitting. The
thing about that is, I was ruminating on this with Ani, our stage manager, is that BTE does do this every year with the Theater in the Classroom program. Where we rehearse and we send 3 young professionals out into the world to tour at schools, and it's a different thing every time. So there is precedent for it within this company, even though this feels like a very new thing. And it is it's definitely the biggest version of this. And certainly there are people who have not been on tour before, and know what that's like. But that's there's this. It's possible. It's feasible. We can do it. I believe in us.
Absolutely.
At the beginning of week 3, it's what we're telling ourselves. Because the book is approaching. Is it week 4? We're in week 4. The park is approaching swiftly. So
are you performing on the stage in the park or on floor level?
We'll spend some time on the grass, but the set pieces that we have are going to be on the cement steps of the amphitheater.
So we'll be in the amphitheater in Bloomsburg Park, on CTL stage, which is a thrust, and on River stage, which is my old high school stage.
Yes, it is.
Wild.
Yes, it is.
And that's a very strong proscenium. And then we'll be touring to some high schools too.
We have a whole week where we're going to individual high schools as well.
What schools are you going to?
We're going to Danville.
That's exciting.
We are, and I think Southern Columbia, Shamokin, and maybe Lewisburg.
Yay!
How do I get you a Chickalemi? Let's go.
We just need to. I think we have 5 dates. I can't remember how many dates I think we have 5 dates that week where we're but
reach out.
Yeah, they're
texting my principal.
They're still for sale. They're still for sale. But the dates at CTL and the dates in at River Stage during the week, there are matinee dates available. So busing students to those closer venues is also something we're hoping schools will take advantage of.
Yeah.
And so, okay, going back to the play a little bit. So, Aaron, you've mentioned 11th evening. Is that the 11th hour? Is that what? That's the modern interpretation. So, Aaron, you mentioned that you've played. This is now your 4th time in the production.
Yeah.
And so, what is it like approaching a show that you've done before and seen before and been in with different interpretations, and now working with new people and new ideas, and that's not, what is that process like for you and Kimie, if you've ever been in a production of this as well?
I have.
Can share.
10 years ago, I was in a production of Twelfth Night with Gaspipe Theater Company, which became part of River Stage.
Now I want to cry.
Yeah. Derek directed me, and it's actually been really lovely to be back in a process that reminds me so much. Sorry, it's really
that's
hard.
Okay. That's okay.
I've been dealing with that news, and it's been weird to be in 12th Night and having a lot of those memories coming back. But 12th Night, I played Viola. It was my second ever Shakespeare. My first one was also with Derek and Gaspipe, and that was Midsummer. And then the next year we did 12th Night, and so the part that I'm playing this time around, one of the parts I'm playing is Orsino, who Viola's in love with. And it's so strange to be on the other side of that like weird love triangle thing going on. To revisit this story from like a completely opposite angle. And there's a cat that just wandered into the building.
I'm going to go take care of that cat. You keep talking.
I just looked over and saw a little black cat wander in.
So funny.
But yeah, to come back to 12th Night from the completely opposite perspective, and from a really tricky perspective too. Orsino says some really interesting things about women, which are definitely a thing that I've been working with and wrestling with and figuring out how I want to approach this character. I also saw back in Philadelphia this past spring, there were like 3 concurrent productions of 12th Nights. So there were like altogether 36 nights, I guess. And
someone's going to fill the round table.
So many nights, and all of them were vastly different. And that's another fun thing about Shakespeare and about this play, is that it can be so vastly different and still have the same bones, but the meat around it is strange and wild and different.
Yeah. And 10 years ago, the country changes, like the audience's paradigm changes, where I think the last 3 times I performed this, the gender certainly was part of it, but the idea that actors playing other characters in some states may be banned. And the fact that conversation is in the room at all is brand new, right? Where it just be, all those people are putting on a mask and they're playing a character. I can imagine that there are going to be some folk coming to see the show that would have an entirely different opinion simply because that topic has been heightened within the national conversation. You say those 3 productions in Philadelphia, I would wager it's because that conversation is the one that's at the forefront. Yeah.
And also Shakespeare plays go in cycles.
They do. That's true.
They really do. Like a few years ago, everybody and their mother was doing Julius Caesar. Also for, I'm sure, national discussion reasons. But yeah, Shakespeare plays really do go in cycles of popularity.
Yeah. So, and casting comes into it. So I've been in a Texas Shakespeare Festival. They do wonderful productions and the text is super important, but they're pretty lavish. And so you have a full cast, you have full costumes, you have beautiful light, you have beautiful sets. And there's very seldom gender switched casting within that. So because you have a person in each role generally. I've been in more bare bones productions where similar to us, where we have a finite number of actors and more roles to fill. And so oftentimes that sort of gender that gender rotation is more fluid. One of the big points that Tara spoke of when we first talked about her coming on for this project was that what if there are unexpected bodies in unexpected places? And because the play has that, that it could also be thoughtful in the way that it was cast as well. And so for Kimie to go at Orsino, and Elizabeth Dowd, who's our veteran performer, is playing Malvolio, and she is hilarious playing him. And in a bunch of different arenas. And so Amy is Antonio, and another RAC member. So I am very large, and I play a fool or a servant to someone who is very small, as Olivia. She's diminutive, but like will eat you for lunch. She's real powerful, Diamond Marrow. So there is that kind of casting was done really intentionally, and that will ultimately. It impacts the production, but it also impacts the way the audience sees it. I think that the world changes, and particularly you mentioned the new people. The new people change it faster than anything.
Yeah. What about this show do you think makes it such a popular show? I mean, Kimie, at the beginning, you mentioned just the comedy, and that is one of the people regarded as one of the best comedies, and et cetera, et cetera. What particularly about the show keeps people coming back, and why do you feel like, and I'm not sure how BTE chooses the seasons, but why was it the show for now? Why did we feel that it was important for this time?
You want me to answer?
I just think, I think everybody has the experience of like unrequited love. I think everybody has the experience of doing stupid things for love reasons. I think that these are things that are like exist in a lot of Shakespeare plays, and that's why Shakespeare continues to be performed 400 years later. Is there was something that he was writing that was just tapping into the genuine human experience. It's just, I think it's a fun, rollicking comedy. Everyone has fun with it.
Well, there's good music. We've written.
You've written.
We are all performing five songs that have been that he wrote lyrics for, but we're doing original music with. There's also something, he wields dramatic irony really well. So where the audience knows information that the character does not, and he knows how to ride that pony as long as the audience will allow, and exactly when to release it and let the audience laugh. I think that along with the topical stuff, Twelfth Night, he does it in spurts in particular plays. I think Twelfth Night is one where structurally there's a satisfying ride through the entire thing, where it sustains across the entire thing. Love's Labor's Lost is another one where there is one scene that does that, where these lords who have professed not to fall in love have all written love letters, and they're speaking them out loud in a garden, and they all discover each other. So you see, and then they hide, and then they read theirs, and then they hide, and they read, and then they hide, and they hide, and then haha, you've been lying, and haha, you've been lying, right? So it works every time. And in this play, that is true for the entire play. Like there are gags that are sustained and fiddled with and played with for an entire 2 hours or hour 45. we're working toward an hour 45. So I think that's another reason why. And one of the big reasons why we picked it was Elizabeth Dowd was in it in college before she got here. She was in it when she, I think one of the first 2 or 3 years when all the BTE folks established the company, and then she directed it, and now she's going to be in it. This is her final season before she retires. So there's a bunch of bookending going on, and it was a favorite. It was a favorite of everybody's. So certainly one of mine.
All right. So lastly, so we have one thing at the very end that we're going to do, but the last question that I have for the both of you is just what about this production, the rehearsal process, do you look forward to the most to putting on stage? And what do you want the audience, or what do you hope the audience takes away from the production? It's a tough question, I know.
Well, I will say for me, we're at an inflection point within our own company where we've been a group of maybe 7 to 9 professional actors for the last at least 35 years. This is our 46th season. We got down to that number probably 30 years ago. And over the last 2 years, between retirements and folks leaving for health reasons, we are down to 3 professional actors as part of that resident acting company. And this year, Kimie is coming to join us as a candidate. We also have 3 theater maker apprentices that we're piloting, where they are like just out of college, maybe 1 to 2 years out of school, and they're coming as paid folks, and instead of just an internship, it is an apprenticeship. So they're getting hands-on in the running of things, as it just arrived. We're 4 weeks in on that too. And so gathering all those folks together and having an entirely new energy in the room was something that I was really looking forward to. A lot of that has rendered some really exciting stuff. Some of it is also dealing with a lot of new energy, so all the old habits don't count anymore. So it's just sort of a reformation of what the rehearsal space is. But out of that has come a lot of really great creativity. As mentioned before, I wrote some music, and I was excited for all the musicians that were coming to play and bring their own creative stuff into the room. And that has rendered some really great stuff. So I think folks who are coming to see the show, along with laughing their guts out, are also going to get some really fun musicianship and they will be hopefully stomping, if not clapping, and dancing in the grass. I don't know. But that energy is very palpable. That young energy, that joyful energy is really present in the show. So I'm excited for folks to see that.
Yeah. I was going to say music too. I'm really enjoying music and playing along and listening to folks playing the music. It's really also great to have a group of diverse young folks in the room, and something that I think BTE has struggled with a little bit in that respect. But it's exciting to start getting more momentum and traction on that. It's just discovering new things every time, or trying to find new things, trying to keep things fresh. It's always a struggle, but that's the actor life.
It's true. One last thing too. We're billing this as general audience, which we're really hoping folks bring their young folks. Don't be frightened away by the heightened language. I always say that most 5-year-olds are making up half the words anyway.
If you have a love of fart jokes,
yes,
please come.
Yeah, there are lots of there's lots of body language, but it's like Pixar. That if you get it, it'll be funny, and if you don't get it, it won't be dirty. We're playing by the Pixar rule. So if you have anyone younger than you think should be experiencing Shakespeare, bring them to Shakespeare, because I guarantee they'll glean something out of it, and they will be entertained.
If you like poop jokes,
Gotta love the bodily function.
It's
just cheap humor, but what works?
Yeah,
you know,
that's right. The groundlings were a real thing, man. Shakespeare was writing for everybody, so
well, that is incredible. Well, I look forward to seeing it. We might even see it twice. Once at CTL, and we live right down the street from the park, so maybe
fantastic.
We'll head up down there.
Fantastic.
So, if you are interested in seeing any one of the productions of this fantastic production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, it is taking place at the Bloomsburg Town Park from September 7th through the 9th. It is taking place at Lewisburg's River Stage Theater from September 29th through October 1st. And you can see it on our stage here at CTL, the Community Theater League in Williamsport, from September 15th through the 17th. You can get tickets for that event on our website, ctlshows.com. So check us out there. Make sure that you get your tickets. You do not want to miss any one of these productions. And before I let you go, I have a game that I didn't warn you about because it's more fun this way.
yeah.
So this is a game that I like to play called Fast Five. So I have 5 questions for the both of you. These are generally related to Shakespeare.
Okay.
And it is an opinion-based game on whatever you think your answer is. And we won't judge you too much for the answer. They might, but I won't. I promise.
Understood.
So,
and they do not reflect the
look at that.
ethos of CTL or whatever.
No, yeah. your feelings are your feelings, and
Gotcha.
I found out that you guys are doing a production at Danville because someone at Danville just emailed me and said, "Hey, they're coming. We want to extend you the invitation to bring your kids to the production." So hey, I didn't know that was happening. It's great. News broke here. So anyway, Fast Five, and here's our Shakespeare Fast Five. Question number 1, and this question is to both of you. All 5 of these questions are to both of you. Whoever answers first. What is your favorite Shakespeare play?
Hamlet.
That
was very fast.
I knew that one. I'm gonna say 12th Night. I'm gonna say 12th Night.
Okay.
Hamlet's up there though.
Good answers, both of them. Question number 2. In your opinion, remember this is just your opinion. What is the most overrated Shakespeare play?
12th Night.
looks like Kimie will not be making it onto the rest of the night.
No.
She's got Orsino hangover.
Yeah, Orsino's really rough. I'm sorry. Orsino's really rough. I'm having time with it. The most overrated Shakespeare play. Oh, jeez. Taming of the Shrew.
Ooh. Okay. Taming of the Shrew, but we could man. Maybe Midsummer Night's Dream. Maybe Midsummer's Night's Dream.
I've seen a lot of interpretations of that one as well.
Yeah.
That one gets played with a lot in terms of setting and character and.
Well, I think people take fairies are fun.
Yeah.
And then don't actually do the play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good answers. Question number 3 is the opposite. What is the most underrated Shakespeare play?
I would say either Love's Labor's Lost, because it is verbally dense. There's some, if you want archaic language, that one is chock-a-block. I will also say that the Henry VIs are really good. but
I always forget about the history.
Yeah. Like Henry VI or Richard III.
Margaret has such a good speech in Henry VI Part 3.
Yeah, I would say pretty much any of the histories because they are equally well written. But you got to have the right audience to want to come to them.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, particularly if you're like doing one of the parts without the other parts around it. Everyone's like, "Well, I don't know what the first."
I missed the precursor, and I don't know what happens.
Which is why they cut them. They often are cut together as like the War of the Roses or whatever. Yeah. But each one of all those 6s have some good stuff in them.
I saw one that was, I think it was, oh shoot, I can't remember which one it was.
Tell me a plot point.
They marketed it as Shakespeare's Joan of Arc.
Oh, that's one.
Yeah.
The Henry VI Part 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
She's
But
a-
he's not very kind to Joan.
No, she's quite a major character in that.
Yep. Yeah.
did you answer most underrated? I don't remember.
I'm with that.
Okay.
Histories.
All right. Fair. Question number 4, and if you've already played it, you can still mention it. That's okay. What is your dream role to play in a Shakespeare play?
Hamlet.
Hamlet in Hamlet?
Hamlet.
Okay.
No, Hamlet in Macbeth.
We're not in this. We're not in this space, right? We're okay. We're not in the theater. We're not going to. The theater's the roof's not going to
fall. Well, it's interesting because a lot of the
You've done so many of them.
I've done well, but I have to shift my focus to all the middle-aged guys because I've played a lot of the youngins. Probably Richard III. I'd like to play Richard III. I'd like to play Richard II. I'd like to play. I've never played Mackers. I'd like to play Mackers. That'd be a good one. There's still a bunch, but like I've aged into a bunch of new ones that I haven't.
I'm slowly getting there myself. I had a student tell me today that I was 32. I'm not. I'm still clinging to my 20s. I have a couple of years left.
Yeah.
I'm only 26.
Yeah.
And every time they start the number with a 3, I feel a little more offended every day. So I'm starting to get into that point where I'm like, oh, I can't. Like I still waiting. I'm a musical theater person. It's where I find my niche.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for Hairspray. And I'm about like 100 pounds in like 3 years, maybe too late to have gotten to play seaweed. I thought I would have a chance, and then but now I'm like 100, maybe for seaweed, maybe like 150 pounds ago I could have done the role. But
I feel similarly. I don't think Hamlet should be played by anybody like over 30. And I am 29, and I'm like,
just clinging to.
Not a fan of Simon Russell Beale playing it in his 40s.
Just really,
it makes the story so much more interesting because then how old is mom? How old is mom and uncle?
Yeah.
If Hamlet's like already like he should, I think he should
be.
I think he should be. I think he should be skewing younger because if he's already an older and established person, why would they even be wondering who should be king next? It doesn't make sense.
That's fair.
It just doesn't make sense.
That's absolutely fair.
It's a provocative question.
Sorry.
It's all right. Wait until those 4 decades roll in, and then you have all
it makes me want to throw up a little bit. But
it's all good. It's all good.
All right. I believe we're on the final question.
All right.
All right. And this can be in any production. Who is your dream co-star in any show? It doesn't have to just be
David
Shakespeare.
Tennant.
Bam!
Doesn't have to think. This is Fast 5. These are
Fast 5.
These are the fastest,
I got the
fastest questions.
I understood the assignment.
I know, and I don't.
These are the fastest answers I've ever seen. Most people cannot answer these
100p.
questions.
Always.
Oh man.
We can share.
Well, no, we could. Yeah, I mean, we just finished Good Omens 2, so like Michael Sheen and David Tennant are in my brain. I would love to have played. Well, and she's not dead yet. But to do Emma Thompson in anything, I would love to play across from her at some point. But I don't know what that would be.
And that's okay.
No, there's so many good ones, but
She made an and to one of your Richards.
I would want to time travel and do like Judi Dench or like one of the or Maggie Smith, like to get them at their prime when they were playing with the RAC or the RSC.
Yeah.
Like that would be really cool too. But
good answers. All right. Well, thank you so much, Aaron and Kimie, for joining us on CTL Speaks. This has been great, and I am excited to see the show. And audiences, you should be excited also to make sure that you visit one of the 3 locations, either the Bloomsburg Town Park or River Stage, or of course here at CTL, where you can find 12th Night being performed on September 15th through 17th. You can get your tickets now. They are available at ctlshows.com. So check us out there. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on all of our socials, as well as following BTE on all their social media. Follow them. Anything that the audiences outside of 12th Night should be looking forward to in the BTE season? What's coming up next?
Well, we after for Christmas, we got a Christmas story coming up. And we got a bunch of new faces that we're really excited to share with folks. Kimie being one of them. So if you feel like you don't see the same old faces, we're sad that they're not here, and we hope that they're hale and hearty. But we are really stoked to have a new core group within our ensemble. So don't miss out, because they're only here for 9 months, and then we have to do it again.
All right. Kimie, any parting thoughts for you?
Come check us out. Yeah.
Come check us out.
You know, it's been tricky getting people back into the theater post-COVID.
Yeah,
and I feel that
absolutely.
myself. I don't like leaving the house.
No,
I don't.
Rarely, yeah.
But there is something magical about having a shared experience with a bunch of people. And theater is ephemeral and in the moment. And, you know, you could watch the same thing on Netflix again and again, but any performance of 12th Night you see is going to be a little bit different.
No.
And any performance of any live theater you
Right.
see is going to be a little bit different. And there's something magical about that you know, you'll be there, you'll experience it, and you'll be able to carry that experience with you and never happen again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kimie. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us here
Thanks for having us.
on CTL Speaks. This has been your host of the day, Aubin. Seth had to leave earlier. It's going to be an awkward cut it's going to be great. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode, and we will see you another time. Have a great day, everybody.